Yeah. Out doing it, you know what I mean? You know? Yeah, yep, yep.
Hey Jess, can we send out a zip look at the link?
I did. You just click the picture, right?
Oh, okay.
Is someone asking?
There's just hardly anyone.
I sent one this morning. I'll send it again. No. Not this one.
No big deal.
You going to lunch, Em? Your lunch
I only have like 30 minutes
is here? Oh, you forgot?
about something happening in my calendar.
We gotta switch it anyways, not from Bombay House to Oakland. We're going to.
Go to English House on State Street and it's really delicious.
Good to see you.
That's what,
Made it all the way
I
down.
did.
this is what, so
I take my wife to the airport, so it's like.
Yeah, you might as well.
Courtney set up, where we're going?
Ganesh.
She said India House. What happened to that one? We have another, yeah.
Slightly confusing. It says open 24 hours only on Tuesdays and the other ones are like open 4 to close. So we're trying to call it in 24. Right.
On Tuesday.
Just on Tuesdays.
Just on Tuesday.
You're hungry Tuesdays, Ganesh is your jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indian house, right.
Good morning. How are you? How are you?
Great.
Good morning, Miss Robin.
We'll call this Howling Hangover and I'll let you go with that. Before I jump into slides, I want to make sure that I make a special announcement about Thanksgiving heroes. So you all remember. You all remember that we had, y'all remember that we had Rob out here talking about Thanksgiving heroes and he was excited ready to jump in and make a difference with that, which I'm so grateful for. We have not sent out the personalized link to everyone yet because we decided that to up the ante, we were going to challenge another brokerage. So we have issued a challenge to C21 on a fundraising competition. Y'all, I don't care about much. I will not lose to C21. Like, to be clear, I will show up at your houses and ask who you have talked to about Thanksgiving heroes. It's not going to happen. So, so watch for a tracker on that to show up and the link to go out. It will be our entire region participating. We will start fundraising on November 9th. So this is like the gearing up and getting ready, and then we'll hit the ground running. If you have already made a donation to Thanksgiving Heroes, please make sure to let me know so that we can be sure that things get accounted for correctly. But if you have not,
Yeah.
yes, but if you have not, hold off, please. And then November 9th, it's ready, set, run. And what I can tell you is that on our regional call about this, Rob said that our office already pledged more than the entire company of C21 was talking about. So number one,
That's what's up.
yeah, that's what's up. Number two, as soon as they start seeing our numbers go up, plan on them sprinting. So
Yeah.
let's
Can I
make sure
say
that they
something
can't
real
catch up.
quick?
Yeah, you're good.
So I've kind of been helping Rob organize this whole thing. One of the things that we thought of that would be really helpful, because it's hard to figure out what to talk to your SOI about over and over, right? Like, it's hard.
There you go. There's no camera.
And so he's gonna send us a script of what he does, how he talks to his SOA, Rob. And this is a big, he gets like a lot of deals off of it. That's not the intent, but just it's a good excuse to communicate with people. So I find that he's a lot more communicative with his SOI during this time. And so when it's a great excuse to reach out to people and say, we need donations, we need volunteers, and we need families. Who do you know that needs a Thanksgiving dinner? And it's the most powerful thing. So the food is from, they deliver it from the end of South Utah County, Logan, Park City, Tooele, Stansbury, all over. So they need mouths, they need volunteers, and they need money. So great reason for us to reach out to our people.
And we anticipate having the means to support 5,000 families now with Thanksgiving dinner, with everyone participating in this. So if you do know a family's in need, or if you're reaching out to Chair SLI and talking about families in need, one of the most powerful things that I feel like Rob shared with us, and Emily brought it up again on the regional call, is that so often families that are in need are not the ones you realize. It's, there are those that, maybe are on reduced or free lunch and you know that there's more of a struggle, but there's also the families that have a really nice house in a really nice neighborhood and are living in that basically
They're still
like they're
not making
squatters.
it, and they don't
because-
qualify for the programs.
Yeah,
Right? So-
because life happens, and especially in the last couple of years, life has happened to a whole lot of people. So, yeah, thank you for your commitment to that, and watch for that email to come out. We will send all of it kind of in one package, so watch for that. Maybe, or maybe not. But for real, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, what did I hit?
Nothing, you are doing it
Oh,
right.
All right, sweet. Kuahara pictures are up on Facebook. If y'all have not had a chance to look through those, whether or not you were there, they're fun to look through. But if you were there, make sure that you save, share, send them out to your sphere of influence. The first photo dump that we did was about half of the photos. So if you went when the link first went out, please go out and look again. And that is on the KW Utah Realtors Agents Only Facebook page. So make sure that that's where you're looking. Bold. So we just finished week three of Bold. Eric, do you want to share a couple of insights about that? And then if you completed your Bold 100 this week, so that's if you made 100 contacts, whether or not you're participating in Bold, if you made 100 contacts, make sure to put your name on a ticket, throw it in here, and we're going to have drawings every week.
Okay, all right, so it's awesome that we just talked about SOI because that's what we focused on in Bold this time was our SOI and how powerful that can be. So who in here has built their SOI out where they have like a top 50, a top 20? Anybody yet? Yeah, okay, good. If you haven't done that yet, that should be a focus because that's where most people who start out build their business, right? They build their business based on the people that they know or come in contact with each day, right? So open your mouth. I told a story about one of our agents who actually prospected so much that he ran into my son and asked for his business. And my son had to tell him, no, my dad's a broker, where do you work, right? So that's how often and how much we need to be reaching out and contacting people. So that was my bold aha from yesterday. Okay? All right.
Love it. Any other ahas from folks that were at Bold? I hear there was crying.
Lots of crying.
So I was gonna cry. One of my ahas was, because I have been here 7 years and never done Bold. And I would say my biggest aha is that really the skill that we need to acquire is the mindset skill. The other things, like our training calendar is packed and we can refine our conversations and, we have an awesome broker to refine like our contract knowledge. Really the work that we can make the most impact in our business is the mindset. And that's what that game training is. And I don't think anyone's ever really explained that to me. I felt like it was going to be more of a, here's how to do, how, and it isn't like that. It's really cool. So put it on your list if you didn't attend this today.
If you look at the order of be, do, have, so often we get that mixed up and we get really caught up in the doing or we get really focused on the having. And it all starts with the being. And so that mindset is such an important part of that. So tomorrow we have 10 ways to add value in new construction CE. That is here, 10:30 to 12. Emily, anything you want to share about the CE course?
Just that it's how you represent a buyer. Why does a buyer who's building need you? Why do they need representation? And then we go a lot into new construction so that you can talk to the top sort of thing and understand the terms and the process, especially with so many things that have changed, so that you're gaining information and knowledge to feel confident in reaching out and having new construction be a part of what you are doing. So it's from the buyer side.
Love it. So great follow-up to our training last week. in continuing to expand your tool belt with working with new construction. Something to remember is that we are really committed to offering CE both virtually and live here in the office every month to you. A part of that is your required CE and making sure that you've got everything that you need when it comes time to renew. But a part of that is just continuing to build your skill set. It's, you know, you can do the bare minimum, but we're not bare minimum agents. And so being an agent that every single month is continuing to work on our craft speaks volumes to the consumer. So it is business planning season. We are through spooky season and fully into business planning season. So 2 very important trainings to get on your calendar for next week and make a top priority. The first is next week's team meeting. Boyd will be here presenting business planning workshop. Now, some of you participated in the national broadcast business planning. My understanding of that one is it was a lot of kind of theory and bigger concepts. Boyd is going to be going really granular and working through the nuts and bolts of putting together your plan for 2022. We are going to extend our team meeting time next week so that we can have a full hour. This used to be an all-day training, so condensing it even into 1 hour is tricky. So next week, be aware that team meeting will be from 11 until 12:30. Also be aware it will be 100% worth it. So that's next week during team meeting time. And then for those of you that are a part of the MORE Club, invitations have gone out. So if you believe you're a part of MORE and you didn't get an invitation, please let me know. But November 11th here, we will be doing a more in-depth and advanced business planning. So for those of you that are in the MORE Club level of production, there are additional things that you need to plan for as far as 2022. And Boyd will be covering those from 11 to 1, and lunch will be provided. The Salt Lake office, their MORE Club members will be coming here and participating with us as well. Welcome new agents. So we have Imelda, Nisha, and Shirley. We get headshots for a couple of you. We are thrilled to have you as part of our market center. So welcome. Happy anniversary time. Yeah, we need to snap a picture of you real quick. Happy anniversary time. So Tony Hellman has been a part of KW Utah Realtors for 10 years. So let's give him a huge hand for that. This is okay. Cheryl is not going to be in town today, but she has been 9 years. Kat just left for a client and she's 8 years. Susan, 3 years, Ruben, 3 years, and Carla, 1 year. So let's see, we've got a 3-year here. Happy anniversary. And Carla, I think. Oh, there you are. Come on, everybody. Happy anniversary. So real quick, Ruben and Carla, I would love if you share one of the reasons you chose to do a career with KW or one of your favorite things about KW.
Real quick, I was at Realty Path before. I think the biggest reason was play big, play with the big dogs at Realty Path and really trading time or money for holding every commission in, and I think that was a big difference. So just trying to play in a bigger pool.
I love that. Thank you. Carla, how about for you?
For me, I really love how involved KW is the community and like Red Day, things like that. That resonates with me.
Well, we are very glad that you are a part of our community, so thank you. Happy birthday time. So y'all know we gotta sing, and we'll go talk down on the names. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ashley, Tana, Alicia, Monica, and Karen. Happy birthday to you. To reward you all for being sponsored by singing, we do have crumble cookies for you for after the meeting. Happy birthday. All right, October cappers. So as you know, capping is one of the things that we honor at KW. And once you have contributed an amount to company dollar, then you are capped out, and for the rest of the fiscal year, you are at 100% commission. And our October cappers were Rachel, Ray, Eliason, and Carla Rivera. So congratulations. Your crystal cube. Y'all can see. Drop it. Make sure to get your. All right, agent of the month. We fixed the slide so it didn't announce it before I talked about how great they were. This agent is one that you will consistently see in the top 3 in production. The thing that I think is so outstanding about their business and their production is that they do it really as a solo agent. They are lean and mean. They also have the heart of a teacher and such a giving spirit. And I can't even tell you how many agents have said to me, I love when I come into the office because I've been able to get this tip from this person. And I love being there because I get to watch the very best, and they'll jump in and help me with anything. And it's amazing because they're so busy, but they really are just such a giving and contributing agent. And so our agent of the month is none other, and I don't know where our certificate went, than Ashley Lindsay.
Yay.
Can we make sure to get your picture taken with you before you go? Thank you. And then our cultural icon, oh, they're there. White table, white certificate. Our cultural icon of the month is also a super giving agent. And they have, they've not been with KW for as long, they've not been in the industry for as long, but they have fast-tracked success and really built a strong business at a healthy price point. And again, as we looked at who we wanted to honor, this is an agent that anytime they're in the office, they are jumping in and collaborating with other agents. When we have guests here at team meeting, they're the first one to go and introduce themselves and find out what that person's story is. And I can guarantee that it's not going to be more than 4 or 5 minutes before they're jumping in and saying, so when are you going to be here? So that cultural icon of the month. Upcoming trainings, next Monday, we have a training, GCI is a Lie. That is going to be moved to Real Advantage, so that information will be sent out. This is a great training about running lean and mean in 2022. As we put together our business plans, one of the challenges as we grow as agents and as business owners is that we can end up spending a whole lot of money on things that we don't need to be. And you end up working really hard to pay the bills, but not necessarily pulling a profit. And so this class is focused on 4 ways to double your income without doubling the number of transactions that you're doing or even your production. And we're ready for our tech moment. It's you.
So I talked about this a couple months ago, but the most common question that I probably received in the last, oh, there's like a camera. The most common question I've received in the last 2 years in this role is, I just need like a monthly newsletter. You could just like create, like, I wonder where I could find a monthly newsletter. And so I went in and created and made this live on the Smart Plan Library, a drip campaign so that you can have at least one email going out every single month to your database. There's a separate email that is more time sensitive, that's on stats, UAR stats, MLS stats. So really that's 24. I know like the sweet spot's a 26 biweekly emails, so you might have to come up with 2 on your own, or I can create those too. But this is just an example of what some of the emails look like. So let's talk about short-term rentals. Here's some detail on that. What's your ideal neighborhood? This just kind of drives like, let's talk about neighborhood. Where are you looking to buy, or, you know, just something that's going out to your SOI. So then when you're making those quarterly calls, there's some kind of a context of, hey, I have been reaching out to you, versus like, hey, remember me? The good news is too, is that we currently are in the process of translating all of this to Spanish. So
I'm looking at you guys, because I know we had talked about that. So, yeah. So this is something that in Tech Bar that we do twice a week here, 3 to 4 Mondays and Wednesdays. I can just show you how to download them from the Smart Plan library. It's as easy as downloading it and then adding your database. So if you don't have your database in Command, even if you use another CRM, that's totally fine. I would suggest also adding your CRM to Command so you can have that drip going in here, and then hopefully that checks something off your list. So yeah.
You guys don't realize honestly, like how much this changes things. Like really, we used to have to do all this stuff and customize all of our own plans and whatever else. So really like take advantage of the work that Kimber's done. It's incredible work and it automates things to a point that honestly, like it's, you just one click and you're done. And it's, you know, coming from when Command first started, where we're all trying to do all this stuff, Kimber has streamlined it. I'm telling you, just take advantage, go in and do it. It will change your business and how you interact with your database. So thank you, Kimber.
Yeah,
I mean, if we
you're
take a
welcome.
poll, like how many people here have had get something to send out to my database consistently on your business plan or on your to-do list at some point in your career? And how many of you did it just continue to sit on the list without getting anything sent out? Or did it take hours and hours and hours of time? And then you still probably hated it when you were done. So-
Yeah, you spent way too much time in the creative space and you're like, I just need to like call somebody or knock on a door. Like this is taking too much time. So we just, that's the cycle of us taking this on. So yeah, so this will be a drip campaign. It keeps going. It goes for 9 months. That's just how the dynamic of Command and what they allow to make public on the Smart Plan library. That being said, I'm posting the next 3 months or the next 3 smart plans in December. And so the last step of the last smart plan is reminds you to add them to the next one. So it should automate this part of your business if you wanted to. So. Make it a priority to get to Tech Bar and have Kimber help you load it so that it doesn't hit that point of stuckness, because we all have that that stuck point in our to-do list. All right, Eric, broke a
Okay.
moment.
So just really quick, you guys, this has been something that's come up a lot in the last little bit. How many people during COVID got their fingerprints deferred from when you? Okay, so the Wrap Back program takes 2 weeks to get that stuff processed. Okay.
Is
And
it
so
every agent? Like, how do I know if I'm supposed to do fingerprints?
if you haven't done fingerprints for the Wrap Back, check with the division and find out. And I can actually run a report and see.
What's going on?
What's that?
I remember there was this.
Wrap Back is the new, so it's an FBI database that they check the fingerprints against. Now it's something new that they implemented a couple of years ago, but they delayed it during COVID because there were no,
License 3 years ago. I thought it was good. No, you're not.
just everybody, just
Just
everybody, please check on it. Okay, just to be sure that your fingerprints are in the system. Okay, if you come up against your deadline to renew, we have an agent that's coming. Thanks to Mr. Tony here who.
Can I paraphrase what will happen? Please stop all real estate activities immediately. Your license has expired. You risk fines, penalties, etc. Your license expired. And you get to pay a late fee of $50 in addition to your renewal.
How come they don't just?
You know what, I don't know why the division is not like flagging this and sending out.
I
reminders.
wouldn't have even known, I haven't had my fingerprint for 18 years.
I
Yeah,
haven't either.
so everybody just check on your status.
And Eric, just
okay?
to clarify,
So you can
is
get
it
your
leading into your
fingerprints.
renewal? Or
Yes.
is it at any point you could be shut
No.
down? It's at any point.
No,
you could
no,
be
no.
shut down?
No, so
For the renewal.
the renewal time is when they will shut down your ability to practice.
Okay,
Okay.
Even if you're not at renewal.
so good to just
Everybody
get it
needs to
done
have-
now,
yeah.
but
Just get 'em
when it
done.
will hit you is when you hit renewal.
Where do I go do this?
You can do that,
The
you can,
division.
yeah, the
So
division,
on
you're right
Route,
there,
it'll
you
show
can,
a bunch of places they'll take it from.
yeah, exactly.
I had to do it at the division and they told me that it only took 24 hours. if I did
So
it there.
just allot yourself 2 weeks,
Yeah.
okay? 2 weeks before your renewal, if you haven't done it, get this done, okay? So we don't end up losing a bunch of time in production.
We're
Okay.
talking about like the board, right?
You just go and do it.
Okay, everybody good on that?
Thanks, Eric, for
Okay.
creating mass panic.
I know. That's what I'm here for. Just get your fingerprints done.
Michelle got on Zoom said, when I got my fingerprints in July, they didn't come back in time. I showed the fingerprint receipt to the division and they extended my renewal. One week until the fingerprints actually came back.
Okay. So if everyone else didn't hear that, if you are coming up on renewal, Michelle Rudd just shared that she got her fingerprints done in July. They were not back in time, so she did show the verification that she had done it, and they gave her a week extension. So do ask for that additional time if you run into an issue. Best bet is get it done early before your renewal. If you're not sure when you are due to renew, or if you need to get fingerprints, or what Ratback is, you can look on Realms. If you don't see it there, hit up Broker Hawk and he can pull a report and let you know.
So, and just pulled it up here. It's right on the division website. It says, how do I enroll an FBI Ratback fingerprint system? So you can read it right there. Do you want me to read it to them? I'll just read it to them. Go to the division website, then scroll down and click on the aqua colored Ratback service, okay? Then enter your license number and last 4 digits of your social. You'll be directed to approve a consent form authorizing your enrollment in the FBI Ratback fingerprinting system. This is what takes so long, you guys, is to get you enrolled in the system and then have that system screen your fingerprints, okay? That's why it takes a while, yeah.
There is a place called Yup, like YUP in Salt Lake, and they're crazy fast. That's
Okay.
where I did mine, and I got it back in less than 10 days.
Awesome. Okay, so just go do that, go to the Ratback, it's on the division, just check, enroll in that, and then go get your fingerprints done. You can get them done at a police station and take them down to the division if you want to, yeah.
Yeah, but the ones that if you go there and they'll electronically send them in, it's quick, but there's no verification that the division has received them. There you go. So just be aware that you say, did they get them? And it may take a while before you can actually know if they got them.
Yeah, my recommendation would be if you can to set an appointment at the division to get it done, okay, if you can. If not, you can just make sure that you take something to them, right? Don't rely on whoever it is to send them for you, okay? Take something to the division and turn it into them with your fingerprints recorded on it.
Got it.
Okay, awesome.
So Eric, if you want to just stay up here for a minute. So next week, we kick off our next Ignite series. You
This
all
week.
are. This, no,
This week.
hold on. Time out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, not this
Next
one.
week, we kicked off our normal Ignite series. So that will be Monday through Friday from 9 to
12:15.
12:15, where we will go through, break down the fundamentals of real estate and have some of our local resident experts teaching that. So that program is not going away. It is still in full effect. Eric discovered, and he'll talk about this a little bit, that there were some people who wanted refreshers that maybe have clients and appointments during the day and can't make it to Ignite, or are working 2 jobs and had a struggle with that. And so he is launching Ignite, different spelling, which does start this week. So Eric, you're going to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so after talking to a lot of our agents, I did find that there are a few of them out there that are looking to transition from what they're doing now into real estate full-time. There are a lot of agents also who are busy during the day for whatever other reason. And so I decided to develop a kind of condensed curriculum of Ignite, put out 5:30 to 6:30 on Thursdays, right? Every Thursday except for a weekend or a holiday week, okay? These will be, it's a 6-week rolling curriculum. So every 6 weeks it'll start over. So if you miss something, don't have to worry about it. You can go back and look at it again. We're going to have some really great instructors on there. But what I want you to be able to do is it's kind of like a nuts and bolts boiled down version of here's exactly the steps that you need to do to create this piece of your business. Buyers, sellers, lead generation, mindset, all those things that kind of launch us.
Contribute settlement
Down version of that to give you the step-by-step stuff to do to create business for yourself. Okay, so put it on your calendars, 5:30 to 6:30. You guys can register to see it. If you're not, we'll send out a Zoom link so you can. It's just going to be on Zoom. so it's easy to tune in. Okay, any questions? Okay,
All right. So
Actually,
real,
how do we invite prospective agents or something? Send them to you first?
if you want to, you can send them the Zoom link, and then if you would give them, or give me their contact info, I'd love to just chat with them, introduce myself before we get started. So, yeah, good question. Thank you. Great.
and so before I bring up our next presenter, Tony, I just wanted to acknowledge you for no,
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. yes, no.
Board says no.
Board says, no, we're not acknowledging you for 10 years with KW.
Oh, 10 years with KW.
Uh-huh, yeah,
Yes.
can I keep going now? Okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you're, yeah, no, mum's the word on that. However, I would love to acknowledge you for 10 years with KW and tell you how much we appreciate having you as part of this community, so. To block the whole view behind you, but those 10 balloons there for you. And will you share just a little bit about why you chose KW, or what your favorite thing about it is currently, or some kind of little tidbit?
Sure. Let's see. So why I chose KW, I looked at like 7 different companies. They all want it. They all want any live body with a license. But Lee Stern was here, and I knew I could get the training. Paul Wilden says, and I'm here to keep you out of jail, which I find is pretty important, because if you can't talk to the broker and double check your contracts, you're going to wish that you could. And why I chose KW was they kept talking about the culture thing. I didn't know what that meant, but seemed like it was important to everyone. And no one said you'd go wrong with going with KW. And I'm still here 10 years later.
Love it. Well, you're an important part of our culture, so thank you so much. All right, without further ado, I am thrilled to bring up the gentleman that head up our Latino branch. So some agents are not aware that we actually have an entire branch dedicated to the Latino community. The first time I met with them and heard their story and sort of how this came to be, I was so inspired, and inspired not only by what they're creating within their business and their company, but inspired by what it says about really finding your niche and identifying what it is that they need from you, and really just going all in on that. And so I was thrilled that they were willing to come and share a little bit of their story with all of you. So you're going to make that.
Very good. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so like Robin was saying, we run the Keller Williams Latino branch, and we really started that just, exactly because that we felt like for our agents, there just wasn't that support in Spanish and somebody there. So that's really why we started it. But a little bit about us. So of course, we're brothers. You can tell the hair. Right? So we've done a ton of businesses together, and we continue to do more. And yeah, so we got in the industry. I got in about 8 years ago, and I primarily got into lending, into the mortgage side. And then how long?
I got in about 5 years ago, almost 6 years now.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago. But we just did the Hispanic community because our parents were doing that, and we always kind of were like wondering, which way we should go about it, right? And just kind of taking on that next client. So we thought during this time with business planning, it'd be a good time to talk about, how do you get into a niche, right? How do you kind of find your niche and really go after that part of it? So, but yeah, so with that, we have just a couple of experiences that we did with some of our businesses. And it was funny because every time that we started a business, we'd always hear like, well, who's your ideal client, right? Like, what do you guys think here? Like, who's your ideal client, right? I always thought, well, everybody, like, I'm not shutting anybody out. Everybody's my ideal client. There really wasn't a one person. It was kind of just, whoever wanted me to work with them, right? And we really figured out that really doesn't work, right? So, yeah, so part of our experience was just that figuring out who that client was, and really it's made a huge difference in our business. So
Yeah, so I think there was 4 major questions that we asked ourselves when we started sitting down and saying, okay, let's actually treat this like a business, right? We've been grinding for what, 4 years or so. And it was doing well, and the business of course feeds you, and it feeds you very well. But it gets to a point where it's just repetitive, right? You're closing, 2, 3 a month, and then the next month you might not close, and then it goes up and down. So we really sat down at the beginning of this year and said, what are we looking for and who are we going to market? So I think the first question we asked ourselves was, who do we want to serve? And I think we really had to look at ourselves first and say, okay, who are we and who do we represent, right? And I think with that,
yeah, so that was a big question, because for us, it was not necessarily like, it was just, who do we want to work with, right? And kind of, who do we feel better working with, and just gives us kind of that purpose, right? And of course, we came back to just the Latino market, and just how much that really meant to us to really help a family get into that home, and be able to help them through the whole process. And so it was really determining like what was that client that really made us feel good about ourselves, right? When we worked with them. So that's what we came up with is,
And
okay,
I
we
think
definitely want to help the Latino market.
yeah, and I think it went back to passion, right? We felt the passion because that was us. We were immigrants. We immigrated when we were 5 and he was 7. So we went through that American story, right? American dream story.
Yeah.
And when we sat down, I think that's why we said, hey, there's one community that really touches our heart every time we work with them, and not to shun out any other community, but that was our story, right? So we felt it firsthand. And then when we got our licenses and started working, we wanted to help out that community, right?
Yeah.
I think the next question is, why do we want to serve those people? And I think it goes back into that.
Yeah, it's just we resonated with them. And so a lot of times when you're trying to pick out this person, I think it really depends on your story, and just how you find that purpose, right? With certain community or a certain person or a certain type of person. And so we really we looked at the community and we thought, hey, there's just not enough education. There's just not enough of that information out there in Spanish, right? Like Kimber was just saying, we're trying to bring that stuff out in Spanish. And so we thought, what, we're going to focus on helping them out with education, right? And so we picked out the people that we want to work with, and now we said, hey, the problem there is that there's just not enough of that education there for them.
And I think that's very important, because when you determine that niche, you got to see what sets you apart. There's so many agents. There's like 13,000 agents just in South Valley, right? So you got to determine what's going to set you apart, because somebody else is already working that niche. So you got to see what you bring to the table, or what you're more passionate about that you can explain, right? You can be more authentic about. And I think last is what's the best way to get our message across to that group, right? Because it's not just, hey, any marketing is going to help them, right? And I think we have to sit down and really determine,
yeah, how we got our message out there, and just how we resonate with them, right? And so for us, it was back to our story, right? It was kind of resonating with that same story, and just understanding that, hey, things were different. The way that we do things in our countries and their countries, right? It's different than the way things are done here. And so the way that we really attacked that was through education. And so even in our business, just when we noticed that, and we really identified, okay, here's who we want to work with, here's why we want to work with them. Of course, like Ruben was saying, we don't want to shut anybody out. You want to work with us, like, great, but this is really who our marketing is focused to. And so I think with this time, with business planning, it's a good time to kind of start thinking about, okay, who do I want to target, and really going after that person, right? And making sure that gives you a purpose, because that's, I mean, at least in our business, it's made a huge difference, right? Like we come into work and we're actually like, we have a purpose to come in, right? And not just like, okay, what's the next deal that's coming? So that's been a huge part, but really identifying that person, how do we fix that problem, and really going after them in that aspect. So.
and I think those 4 steps really determines, your ideal client, which is such a hard question when you're beginning. Your ideal client, you don't want to shut anybody out, but really choosing that niche or choosing that person and diving down, you know, is it an investor that you want to work with? Is it a family that you want to work with? Whatever it is, it really, you know, gives you a step in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, and the moment you become an expert in that, or, you know, you kind of pick that person out, you can become an expert in that niche. And then, I mean, people just want to work with you, right? They're just going to want to seek you out because you are the expert in whatever you chose, right? Like you were saying, investors, or, you know, first-time home buyers. When I first got into business, people were like, oh, those are first-time home buyers. You got to go through the entire process with them. And I found joy in it. Like, honestly, I was like, this is cool. Like, I get to explain to them how they can actually affect these things. And yeah, so that was a big part of us. So really choosing, you know, what kind of client you want to work with, what that person is, and then just becoming an expert in that.
So
All right.
talk to us a little bit, if you will. One of the things I loved when we first met is you talked about the fact that your branch and your niche is really focused on the need of your community beyond language. And I think sometimes people get really caught up in this surface level of, this is my niche, and so this is what speaks to them. But people recognize authenticity. And so what were the ways that you were able to go deeper and really identify the beyond language portion?
Yeah, so we noticed just with our clients, there's kind of there's two different age groups, right? So our clients really that are purchasing first-time home buyers are like 40 plus, right? Just because, you know, you got immigrants that are building a life here. And so most of our clients were in that kind of 40 range, but then we also realized, hey, a lot of their kids are now starting to come up. And so we realized that it wasn't just a language thing, it was just an actual culture, you know, and just that when they came to us, they felt like it was us, like we understood what they had actually gone through. And then not only that, their kids now understanding that, hey, you know, I speak your same language. Like I went to school here, I grew up here, but I still have my customs, right, from going home, right, and being at home, and my parents still spoke Spanish, and we're still Latinos. And so that's why we actually changed it, and we put Latinos, because we thought it's a culture thing, right? It's not necessarily a language barrier that we really have. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. I can go to Toyota in English or Spanish, like it doesn't matter to me, right? But what really matters is that culture, right? And so we thought, you know, we just want to help this community, and we really want to be the experts in this community. And so, yeah, so we went above kind of language and thought, hey, it's a cultural thing, right? We want to make you feel at home.
And one of the things I've heard you say a few times, and I'm so glad that you hit on it, is that you don't want to shun anybody, you don't want to turn anyone away. And I think as people are looking at building a niche-based business, or really building their business plan around a specific niche, that's the fear, right? Like,
Yeah.
But I'll sell to anyone, but I'll sell
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And so I guess, how did you work through that fear? And on the other side of that fear, have you found that you have been limited in who you work with, or have you found that you can really focus on serving your niche and then all sorts of people?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like in other businesses that we've done, it was like I said, like every single time they told us, like, well, who's your ideal client? And I'd always be like, everybody, just like, I'm not shutting anybody out, right? And so this, you know, we had the exact same belief, like we're not shutting anybody out. But I think it kind of went deeper than that, because we actually said, hey, you know what, like this, we had already been working this community, but never really focused on just saying, hey, we just want to serve them, right? And so I think the biggest difference was, or the reason why we made the decision was just, we thought, hey, let's just focus all of our efforts on this community. And I think what we've noticed is, after working it, is not, it's not limited us to who we're getting. I mean, at the end of the day, they're referring us to people that might not be in the same niche, but just because of the service that we've given them, it's made a huge difference. And so yeah, so we just kind of said, hey, we're just going to focus on this, not looking elsewhere, and it's really paid off for us.
Carla?
So I kind of work that community as well, Mesa primarily. So I just have a question as far as what are some of the things you guys are doing to like break through and connect with the culture versus like, because you're right,
Yeah.
anybody could speak Spanish, but that doesn't create the connection.
Doesn't do it, yeah. So, we, and we've kind of tested it. So we're on some radio shows in the Hispanic market and stuff. And we've actually tested it a little bit of like, when we talk about numbers, and then when we actually just talk to the people's heart, right? And I think when I say like the people's heart is just letting them know that they can do this, especially in our market is like, hey, you can do this, right? You can buy a second home, you can buy your first home, you can refinance, in the mortgage side, but it's really come down to like actually talking to them and just instead of like being so much about numbers and the difference between a mortgage and a rent, like we realize like they don't care. They don't care about the numbers as long as you make them feel like, hey, I'm able to help you out, right? And we're very honest in our, when we meet with our clients, we're so honest about like, hey, I'm gonna tell you what you can do, and you get to make that decision on what it is. But I think with our market, so much of it is just that lack of knowledge, that lack of education, really, of like what is possible, right? We have clients that are like, oh my gosh, I could buy a second home. It's like, yeah, we can do that, right? So we just focused on the service and really made all of our marketing about just serving them, just getting information out to them rather than comparing mortgages and rents or,
Well, I hear a couple of things with that. One is the difference between like just selling and giving numbers and data and telling a story. And I think even when you are talking about numbers and data, when people relate to stories, people remember stories, people are moved to action.
Yeah.
By something that they can connect to in that way. And so, so I'm not surprised that came out ahead as far as what your niche responded to. And then two, I love that you A/B tested that you looked at it and said, okay, so this is a direction we could go, this is a direction that we can go. And that's so essential when you're looking at putting into place marketing programs, when you're looking at how you are telling that story. Try it a couple of ways, see what people are responding to, make a decision driven by the data, not driven by how you feel about it. Because you may identify with your client, there may be things that you understand about their mindset and philosophy, but at the end of the day, like, you're in a different place. And so what they actually do, what actually moves them is what makes a difference. So I love that you put that into place with your business. How long did you look at kind of each one and say?
So it was quick. So we just thought, hey, just be genuine, just talk to them, right? Talk to them about being able to do this. And we noticed like we had some momentum going. And then we're like, well, let's switch it up and let's talk about numbers. And immediately, as soon as we did, it was like, oh, yeah. So we're like, all right, no, we got to go back to the other thing. And like you said, people just resonate with the story. And for us, it was so easy to tell that story because at the end of the day, it was our own story, right? We knew what they were feeling, right? We knew what they went through. We knew what. So that's why it's so important to like. I think when you pick out this niche or this ideal client, it's important that you pick them out because it also resonates, right? It gives you a purpose. Otherwise, they're going to see right through that, right? They're going to notice that you're just playing games, right? And if you're able to really resonate with that person and have a purpose for yourself, I think that's going to make a huge difference in getting them to move instead of like numbers and things like that. I've never noticed that word, so.
And so as they're looking at their own niche and identifying who their ideal client is, I absolutely agree to find somebody that you resonate with, find somebody that you can relate with in some way, and that it's an authentic way, so that you're not just telling them what you think they want to hear, but there's some knowledge around that. I also see that you are in a different place than your niche. I mean, if you look at like your first time home buyers, y'all are past that. And if you look at your older buyers, y'all aren't there yet. So I'm curious, how do you identify those needs and the best way to be communicating with your niche when it is something that's maybe it's adjacent to what you understand, but it's not necessarily right where you are.
Okay, yeah, so, so in regards to like the different types of clients that we have, and just, you know, one of them being older in the way that we kind of talk to them and, you know, the younger, and honestly, like, the younger side is easy for me, because I just talk to them like you guys are my friends. And so I, you know, literally, like, the way that I talk to my friends is the way that I talk to the younger buyer, and really, I've noticed that it just creates just a natural bond, because we speak the same way, right? We all talk the same way. So with the older ones, what we've done is just, when we first got into the business, that's pretty much all we did, right? Was, you know, our older buyers, because we got into business and our parents had already kind of been working in, so we kind of just piggybacked off of that. And so we learned to really talk to them. And the biggest thing that I do with them is just knowledge. So of course, I'm not going to talk to them like I talk to their kid, but just knowing what I'm talking about, right? Making sure that I am, you know, if I see that I can't do something, then I flat out tell you, hey, I can't do that, right? I don't play like, well, let me see if I can kind of know. So it's just like, hey, here's what we can do. And so just being really knowledgeable with the older borrowers or the older clients that we have has really been our difference. And just the younger crowd is just being myself, really.
And I was gonna say, I think a big part of that, determining your niche, you have to determine who you are first, right? We're not going to sit down and we're not going to please everybody. And we've gotten to a part of our business now where that's kind of where we're at, right? We're not pleasing everybody. We're not there to, you know, if you like the knowledge, if you like the education that we give you, great. If it doesn't resonate with you, great. We're going to move on, right? We're not trying to force anybody to like us, to determine, you know, if they want to work with us. So I think that's a part of your business too, that you find inside your niche as you're kind of going through it.
So it's both establishing your niche and who you want to relate to, and then also looking at, okay, so if I am authentically myself and I am living my life the way I like, and I am sharing information in the way that I am comfortable with, who is it that is attracted to working with me and that appreciates and respects that, and that helps define the niche too. So almost like a reverse engineering of that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that. What's the feedback you look for in identifying if something's working for your niche or if it's not? And we saw with the A/B testing, it's, you know, it leads dropping off. But as far as like how you're working with your niche and communicating with them, are there things that you look for and go, ooh, okay, this doesn't quite work with this segment?
So we just get feedback, and just in like face-to-face meetings that we have with our clients, just hearing from them like, oh, well, wait, like the way that you explained to me really makes sense to us. And that's really how we've noticed, okay, we're making a difference. Like it's clicking the way that we're explaining, and just getting them to our office is also a big part of it, right? Just for them to actually take the leap of saying, okay, I'm willing to come in, I'll bring all my paperwork, and I'll, you know, I'll, you know, do a face-to-face meeting. So that's been how we kind of gauge it.
How are you reaching most of your clients? I know you mentioned you tried radio for a little bit, but what are some other?
Yeah, so we do a lot of the radio, we do a lot of Facebook advertising, and then we, again, like you said, we have the list of like doing like the mailers and the newsletters and things like that. So we already have all of them put into our CRM. And just trying to, we do a lot of emails, but of course our main one is the radio and just the message that we get across on the radio.
What's next for you guys? What are you thinking about as you look into 2022 and beyond, and you're doing business planning and you're thinking about the direction you take, specifically your niche and how you continue to grow this? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so we're thinking just continue really pushing this. And honestly, it's so big for us. Like I got this big poster in my office that says do shit you love. And honestly, like we look at it every day, because that's where we're going, is like, it's just being more of who we are, and just really going out to that community and just being able to help as much as we can. And so, so I think next is just, you know, making sure our touches as far as our CRMs and stuff are on point, or going out to our clients, and just keep pushing that message of like, hey, you know, we're not here just to look at you like a transaction, like, just, you know, we're here to help. You got a question about your mortgage statement, or like you got a question about whatever it might be, just give us a call. We're, you know, we'll walk you through it.
Yeah, and I think that's big, and I think the next step really is also teaching us. Because it's one thing to do it, and it's one thing to decide on your business.
Yeah.
But we're in the process of getting more agents in, we're in the process of growing our lending company as well. So also teaching those loan officers, or teaching those agents, hey, this is how you should look at your business, this is what you should do. So I think next year's growth really, and it's kind of doing that education to our agents instead of just working in the community.
So it sounds like the advice you have for those that are looking at building a niche as part of their 2022 business plan is having a really clear identity of who you are,
Yeah.
what you love to do, how you communicate, and identifying the niche that you can best serve in that way, who gravitates towards that, and who do you actually enjoy working with and want to serve. From there, identifying what are their real needs, how are they being served by the community already? Because I love that reality check of, look, people are working this niche already. They're not the first person to ever have this idea. So what's out there now? And then what can I do that's more different, better, faster, newer, whatever the case may be. So identifying that, A/B testing as you move forward, making sure that you're really communicating with them in a way that's powerful and effective, and then getting those face-to-face meetings as much as possible so that you can really gauge how is this message being received, and are they responding in the way that I would intend them to. Any other top tips for the agents as they look at identifying their own niche for 2022?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So if you got your niche, you probably had to say no to somebody or something. Yeah, could you tell us about how you decided to limit that so you could go deeper versus, you know, across? Because that probably was tough.
You know what? I think in theory, you kind of think like, okay, well, if I'm picking these people, then I'm shutting those people out. And really, we haven't felt that. Yes, there have been clients that have come in that we've just flat out been like, hey, we won't do that, right? And that's just understanding, you know, what we do in our business and just how far we're willing to go, right? And so it's never really felt like, okay, well, I'm not working with those people. It's literally been like, okay, well, I'm just focusing on these people. If that person comes, and great, I'll still help you out just like I would help any of these clients. Right? So it's never really felt like we've shunned anybody out. Other
I
than
think only in our marketing, because we
Yeah.
decided, hey, this is what we're gonna really market to and put all of our dollars in.
Yeah.
So in a way, maybe we shun, you know, a community or a language with that. But it was never, hey, if somebody comes through this side, we're not gonna work with them, right? It's just, hey, our marketing, everything that we do is gonna be towards this, and whatever comes, great, we'll work with it, but this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's a clear and targeted and focused marketing, but not that you're saying no to somebody outside of the niche.
No.
And just being clear about who you work with and who you really can serve.
Exactly.
I love that. Any other tips for
Just
building a niche? Okay.
Laurie?
maybe getting clear on that, so I understand, just so when you're focusing on that niche, it's not when you're asking for more of something or more of that niche, you're not necessarily getting less of other sources, right?
Yeah.
If those sources aren't going down, you're just trying to put more energy into increasing that amount of that niche, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we're not saying no to anything, we're not pushing that away. That's staying the same, what's always been, those people are gonna still get the same amount of service and everything. It's focusing more energy and all that to get more into a certain pipeline.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's all we did. Like Ruben was saying, all of our marketing and everything turned to that niche. You know, we still get from others, but you know, that's what we've been getting, right?
So you kind of inherited the start of your business through your parents.
Yeah,
Like what we do is we have our sphere of influence.
Yeah.
That we start and
That's where you
focus
start
on, and
at.
then within the sphere of influence, you want to kind of find a niche to focus on with your marketing.
yeah, and I think the biggest thing there is is a lot of times like giving you the power, like who do you want to work with? Right? I think we always look at it as like, okay, well, I'm willing to work with this person and that person, but it's like, who do you really want to work with? Like, what makes a difference in your life, in your transaction? And because that immediately is gonna give you a purpose, right? That immediately, that transaction is not just gonna be a transaction. Now there's an actual purpose behind it. So I would say initially looking into it, just saying, who's that client that I want to work with? And I just feel good, right? It feels good working with that client, so.
We like listening.
Right.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank you again for being here, being
No,
so
thank
generous
you.
with your
Thank
time.
you.
and-
For our mortgage company. And I just want to raise a hand, whoever raises their hand first and tells me what they learned today. And
I
that-
learned to focus on a niche.
All right.
Fair
Talk about
enough.
a couple
Is that an
shirts.
extra large?
It is. It's
Oh,
very-
good. 2 cars.
I like
faster.
t-shirts.
My car's faster. No, his is slow.
You like-
Both of your cars are faster than ours.
Like cars, new construction and inspiration. You
Yeah.
guys are great to follow on social media, so hit them up there. Thank you so much for being here. Watch for the meeting recap and links for all the upcoming trainings to go out in an email by tomorrow. And lunch is in the kitchen. These cookies are headed there, so please make sure that you eat them. Otherwise, I will. For being here.
Thank you.